Hello fellow gardeners, and welcome back to Smart Garden. Today, I'm sharing something incredibly special with you, a generational secret that transformed my grandfather's garden into the envy of every neighbor for miles around. For years, people would stop by, amazed at his towering tomatoes, his vibrant greens, and yields that seemed impossibly abundant. They'd ask what miracle fertilizer he used, what expensive amendment he purchased. The truth? His secret wasn't bought from any store. It was an ancestral nitrogen fixing technique rooted in understanding nature's own rhythms. And today, I'm revealing it to you so you can experience the same transformation in your own garden. Before we dive into the solution, let's understand the problem that plagues so many modern gardeners. Nitrogen deficiency is perhaps the most common nutritional issue plants face, and it shows itself in ways you've probably witnessed in your own garden beds. The telltale signs begin with older leaves turning yellow, a condition called chlorosis, as the plant desperately moves its limited nitrogen reserves to support new growth. You'll notice stunted development, with plants remaining smaller than they should be, their stems weak and their overall appearance pale and lackluster. Leaves may drop prematurely, and your harvest becomes disappointing. Few flowers, underdeveloped fruits, and vegetables that never reach their potential. Modern gardening has led us down a path of dependency, constantly purchasing synthetic fertilizers that provide quick fixes but do nothing to build the living soil ecosystem our plants truly need. We've forgotten what our grandparents knew instinctively, that soil fertility isn't something you buy in a bag, but something you cultivate through partnership with nature itself. My grandfather understood this deeply, and his method didn't just address nitrogen deficiency temporarily. It fundamentally transformed the soil into a living, self-sustaining system that grew more fertile with each passing season. Here's the revelation that changed everything for my grandfather's garden, and I promise it will revolutionize yours too. The core principle revolves around working with nature's own nitrogen-fixing mechanisms rather than fighting against them. My grandfather combined multiple strategies, but his foundation was always the symbiotic relationship between certain plants and beneficial soil bacteria. He understood something profound, that atmospheric nitrogen, which makes up 78% of the air we breathe, could be captured and transformed into plant-available nutrition through the magic of leguminous plants and their bacterial partners. The science behind this is beautifully simple, yet powerful. Legumes like clover, peas, beans, vetch, and alfalfa form partnerships with rhizobia bacteria that colonize their root systems, creating small nodules where atmospheric nitrogen is converted into ammonia, a form plants can readily use. When these plants are eventually incorporated back into the soil, they release their stored nitrogen treasure for subsequent crops to enjoy. My grandfather didn't just grow vegetables, he strategically planted nitrogen-fixing companions and cover crops throughout his garden, creating a continuous cycle of fertility that required no external inputs. This wasn't just about adding nitrogen, it was about building a living soil ecosystem where beneficial microorganisms thrived, making nutrients available naturally and sustainably. Now, let me walk you through exactly how you can apply my grandfather's wisdom in your own garden, whether you're working with a small raised bed or acres of land. The beauty of this method is its flexibility and accessibility. You don't need expensive equipment or hard-to-find materials. Start by identifying areas in your garden where you've noticed nitrogen deficiency symptoms. These will be your priority zones for immediate intervention and long-term transformation. For rapid results, my grandfather always kept fish emulsion on hand. This liquid gold, made from fish byproducts, delivers nitrogen that plants can absorb almost immediately, even through their leaves when applied as a foliar spray. He'd dilute it according to package directions and apply it every 2 weeks to struggling plants, watching them green up within days. He also used blood meal sparingly. This potent powder containing approximately 12% nitrogen works quickly, but must be applied carefully to avoid burning delicate roots. He'd scratch a small amount into the soil around the base of nitrogen-hungry plants like tomatoes and corn, always watering thoroughly afterward. But here's where his true genius showed. He never relied solely on quick fixes. Every fall, my grandfather would spread aged manure across his entire garden, Not fresh manure, which can burn plants and introduce pathogens, but material that had composted for at least 6 months, transforming into a dark, crumbly amendment that smelled like rich earth rather than barnyard. He'd worked this into the top 6 inches of soil, allowing it to integrate fully before winter. Come spring, his soil would be alive, with earthworms and beneficial microbes, ready to nourish whatever he planted. The most brilliant aspect of his method was his use of cover crops and crop rotation. After harvesting his summer vegetables, he'd immediately plant crimson clover or hairy vetch, which would grow through fall and winter, their roots diving deep and fixing atmospheric nitrogen. In spring, just before flowering, he'd cut these nitrogen fixers down and turn them into the soil, a practice called green manuring. This single technique alone would provide all the nitrogen his next crop needed, while simultaneously improving soil structure, suppressing weeds, and attracting beneficial insects. Don't overlook simple resources either. My grandfather collected grass clippings from his lawn, spreading thin layers around plants as mulch or adding them to his compost pile. With approximately 4% nitrogen, these clippings provided a steady green boost. He saved every coffee ground from his morning brew, spreading them around acid-loving plants and watching earthworms congregate wherever he applied them, aerating and enriching the soil with their castings. Given that we're in October now, this is your perfect moment to begin implementing these methods. Prepare your garden for spring by spreading aged manure and compost across beds, planting cover crops that will fix nitrogen through winter, and planning your crop rotation for the coming year. The work you do now will reward you with the most fertile, productive soil you've ever experienced come spring. What my grandfather understood, and what makes this method truly revolutionary, is that fixing nitrogen creates a cascade of positive effects throughout your entire garden ecosystem. When you build organic matter through compost and cover crops, you're not just adding nutrients, you're transforming soil structure itself. The soil becomes more porous, allowing roots to penetrate deeply while simultaneously improving water retention so plants remain hydrated during dry spells. This same organic matter acts as a sponge, holding moisture near roots while preventing waterlogging and ensuring proper drainage. The increased microbial activity that comes with these organic methods creates a living protective shield around your plants. Beneficial bacteria and fungi outcompete pathogens, while the diversity of soil life attracts beneficial insects that prey on common garden pests. My grandfather rarely dealt with serious pest or disease problems because his soil ecosystem was so robust and balanced that plants grew strong and naturally resistant. Perhaps most importantly, this method is genuinely sustainable. Unlike synthetic fertilizers that must be purchased repeatedly, creating dependency and expense, this ancestral approach reduces your need for external inputs dramatically. After just 2 or 3 seasons of building your soil this way, you'll find yourself spending less money while harvesting more food. The soil becomes a self-renewing resource, growing richer with each season rather than depleting. My grandfather gardened the same plot for over 40 years, and the soil became more productive every single year, proof that working with nature rather than against it creates abundance that compounds over time. I encourage you, truly encourage you, to try this method in your garden. Start small if you need to. Choose one bed, apply these principles faithfully and observe the transformation. You'll see your plants respond with deeper green foliage, stronger stems, and yields that exceed anything you've achieved with synthetic fertilizers. This isn't just about growing more food, it's about reconnecting with ancestral wisdom, understanding the living soil beneath our feet, and participating in nature's cycles rather than trying to control them. I want to hear about your experiences. As you implement my grandfather's nitrogen-fixing techniques, share your progress in the comments below. Tell us what changes you observe, what challenges you encounter, and what successes you celebrate. We're building a community of gardeners who understand that the best solutions aren't found on store shelves, but in the timeless wisdom passed down through generations. If you found this guide valuable, please subscribe to Smart Garden and share this video with fellow gardeners who deserve to know these secrets. Together we're reviving the lost arts of soil fertility, creating gardens that feed both our families and our souls, and proving that the old ways aren't outdated. They're exactly what our modern gardens need. Your bountiful harvest awaits, and it begins with understanding what my grandfather knew, that true fertility grows from working with nature's wisdom. Happy gardening!